This is the Philippine Iceberg. Hi, I'm Renstavo. Today, we will take a look at the Philippines iceberg, which was created by this Reddit user. I will only be picking a few. Before we move on to discuss the iceberg, to most known and most unknown, hit that subscribe button first. And with that, let's go to the video. As most of you know, he is the national hero of the Philippines. He is a multifaceted intellectual and political activist, best known for his writings that inspired the Philippine Revolution and led to his execution by Spanish colonizers. Adobo is a dish that is known throughout the Philippines as its national dish. It is made of pork slices cooked in soy sauce, vinegar, and garlic. The Philippines is home to a wide variety of cultures. Most of these cultures have been influenced by colonization, which has come from Spain and the United States. Manila, the capital city of the Philippines, is where the country's economic, political, social, and cultural activity takes place. Douglas MacArthur made a famous declaration in which he said he would return to the Philippines to help achieve freedom again after he left. His words lit a flame that became a symbol and focused the nation on wanting to attain victory and freedom once again. Boleti Drive is known as one of the most haunted roads, if not the most haunted road in the Philippines. Many people who drive along this road claim to have seen a ghost while they were there. Yamashita treasure. It is said that this treasure was brought here in the Philippines by the Japanese. It was then buried and hidden in the caves, and later on was called as Yamashita treasures. Many people had been hunting this treasure for decades. The white van became known as an abduction vehicle that drove around neighborhoods late at night and abduct people. Martial law. In 1972, then President Ferdinand Marcos imposed a 9-year military rule which unleashed a wave of crimes under international law and grave human rights violations, including tens of thousands of people arbitrarily arrested, detained or tortured, and thousands of others forcibly disappeared. Robinson's human snake, an old urban legend of a human snake creature said to have stalked the ladies' dressing room at the department store in Robinson's Galleria. It was believed that the snake is a child of the owner of Robinson Mall. San Juanico Bridge is said to be the longest bridge in the Philippines. It also has a spooky legend. A famous urban legend involving its foundation was soaked with the blood of children. The story goes that when the bridge was being built, many children disappeared in Samar and near places, and it only stopped once it was finished. Romblon Triangle. The Philippines has its own version of the Bermuda Triangle, which is known as the Romblon Triangle. Romblon Triangle is situated between the islands of Mindoro and the Das Hermanas and Sibuyan Islands in Romblon Province. Romblon Triangle is mysterious and a deadly sea route. There are multiple incidents there that caused hundreds of lives to be killed. Maria Labo, an overseas Filipino worker who got infected or possessed by a demon because little did she knew that her employer was a vampire. The employer of Maria would always provide her with half-cooked liver to eat. Maria began to feel sick. She did not know that she had ingested some blood of her vampire employer. Due to her unknown illness, Maria decided to return home to the Philippines to live with her family. And upon arriving, she became possessed and became a half-person, half-monster. And she became a vampire too, who eats human flesh. And it was said that one day, Maria prepared a dinner and served it to his husband. When the husband asked where's their kid, Maria said it was right there, in which the husband didn't understand. The husband of Maria did not know what she meant. He was unaware that the meat he had eaten that day was in fact their son. Typhoon Odette, known in the Philippines as Super Typhoon Odette, was the second costliest typhoon in Philippine history behind Typhoon Haitian in 2013. Typhoon Odette was a powerful red tropical cyclone that struck the Philippines in December 2021. Some people, especially those ones who supported Marcos Sr. regimes, claim that the Marcos dictatorship is the golden era of the Philippines. Lucia Joaquin. The story features a creepy interaction between Lucia Joaquin and Enzo Cruz. Enzo was awakened at 2 in the morning. He went to the bathroom to urinate, but after that, when he went back to his bed, he cannot sleep anymore. So he just got one of his cell phones 11 and started to Facebook. When Enzo was in the middle of reading the posts of his friends, he got a message from his cell phone, and it came from Lucia Joaquin. The My Way killings are a social phenomenon in the Philippines, referring to a number of fatal disputes which arose due to the singing of the song My Way, popularized by Frank Sinatra, in karaoke bars in the past 3 decades. As many as 12 people have been killed and dozens injured. The Manila hostage crisis took place when a disgruntled former Philippine National Police officer named Rolando Mendoza hijacked a tourist bus in 2010. A man who had been fired from the Philippine National Police boarded a tourist bus in Rizal Park and took the passengers hostages. 9 people, including 8 tourists from Hong Kong, killed by Mendoza, and Mendoza himself were killed in the incident. President Ferdinand Marcos received a Guinness World Records title for the greatest robbery of a government. This record was later deleted from the Guinness Book of World Records website. Yolanda funds corruption. After Super Typhoon Yolanda hit the country in 2013, hundreds of millions of pesos intended for relief and rehabilitation of disaster victims were not delivered to survivors because government offices used them up for operations or kept them in banks. This led to a slow recovery of the city. Jose Rizal is the real Jack the Ripper. Jose Rizal was accused of being the Jack the Ripper because of their similarities. They are both medical practitioners, both liked women, and lastly because of their initials. The accusation becomes stronger when Jose Rizal came back to Manila after that. The killings were stopped. Is it just a coincidence? Pepsi Paloma. Delia Smith, a Filipino-American actress, was one of the soft drink beauties in the 1980s. In 1982, she filed a rape case against Tito's fellow host Joey De Leon, brother Vic Soto, and the late Richie the Horsey. She claimed that she had been assaulted by those men and restrained her while trying to escape. The case was settled out of court, but in 1985, Pepsi shocked showbiz when she took her life. It is believed until now that the cause was because of the forgotten case that she had filed. Just bomb my location. These were the last words of 24-year-old Private First Class Don Brian Bayard when he called his commanding officer before he succumbed to death in the hands of the terrorists. Resorts World Manila attack. A man entered a hotel carrying a rifle and gas can. He shot multiple times and set fires to some of the gambling tables, causing a fire to spread and smoke, suffocating people that were trapped inside the hotel. He then went on to collect chips worth $1 million, but was spotted by armed forces not knowing what to do next. He went on another floor where he took his life by setting himself on fire. At least 35 people died in the attack. Jollitowel. A post by Facebook user named Alec went viral after she claimed that her Jollibee fried chicken meal, which she ordered via food delivery service application, turned out to be a deep-fried blue towel coated in a breading mix. Strawberry fries Jollibee. Jollibee debuted a new fries flavor that is unlike any other, a strawberry fries. Many people have criticized the flavor because it didn't taste well with the fries. Pork barrel scam. Implemented by Janet Nefoulis. The scam is basically about legislators conspiring with other government officials and private entities to divert public funds for their own use and benefit. Driven by greed, the principal players in the scam were able to create a scheme where the fictitious transactions of the concerned officials and agencies appeared to be as legitimate undertakings. Gil Perez, known as the man who teleported from Philippines to the Mexico City. The legend of Gil Perez is one that involves a man in the Philippines who was a 16th century soldier and guard. He was a member of the Filipino Guardia Civil and worked at the palace of the Governor General in Manila. His life was rather typical of a soldier in that place and time. He did his duty to his government and did his job regardless of any circumstances that arose during his guard duty. But one day, something strange happened when Perez woke up in another country. This fictional story is known as the teleportation of Gil Perez. Ozone Disco Fire. The Ozone Disco Fire is widely regarded as the worst fire tragedy in Philippine history. The tragedy started when a spark appeared in the ceiling over the DJ's booth shortly before midnight. Ozone Disco had been having a great time, so the guests dismissed it because they thought that it was just an effect of light shining through the curtains above them. The dancing continued as the spark grew into a fire that crept toward the dance floor. Many people left the dance floor when they saw flames, but many more remained oblivious to danger. The fire spread quickly, and people immediately began to realize that something was wrong. People rushed to the main door because they couldn't use the emergency exit because it was locked. But moments after, a stampede occurred, Some survived, and many were trampled by others in the rush for escape, and their bodies were burned alive. Most of the victims were newly graduates. Sigbin cure for AIDS. The Sigbin is a mythical creature that's more popular in Visayas and Mindanao. Old folks said that the Sigbin walks backwards with its head tucked between its hind legs, and that it resembles a hornless goat, emits a very nauseating smell, and possess a pair of very large ears which are capable of clapping like a pair of hands. They also say that it ventures out of its lair during Holy Week in order to look for children that it will kill for the heart, which is made into an amulet. For some reason, the story about it being the cure for AIDS spread like wildfire in the late 1990s, even if nobody really knew what a Sigbin looked like. Some drawings actually make it look like a kangaroo. Anti-terror law. The Anti-Terrorism Bill of 2020 is a law passed by the Senate to prevent and stop terrorist attacks in the country by directly targeting individuals who are profiled to be most likely to join considered terrorist groups or perform such acts. The government and its forces will have the absolute power in defining what constitutes the definition of terrorism, who are to be considered terrorists, and what to do with these individuals. Many individuals were against the law because it violates human rights, and the government will use the power to just pinpoint individuals who they thought are a terrorist. Juan Ponce in Really assassination attempt. On September 22, 1972, the convoy of then Secretary of Defense Juan Ponce in Really was ambushed in Wakwak. As he was on his way home to Dasma village in Makati, he recalled his convoy was driving out of Campo Aguinaldo when a car opened fire at his convoy and sped away. This ambush, later revealed in 1986, was staged by Marcos to justify martial law. Is it real? Last Filipino Batman movie. Batman Fights Dracula is a 1967 now lost color Filipino film, directed by Leo Diaz and written by Bert R. Mendoza. It is considered by many to be the most sought-after Filipino lost film of all time. Mindanao almost named Greenland. The US ambassador to Denmark Maurice Francis Egan, urged on by his Danish friends, proposed trading Mindanao to Denmark in 1910 in exchange for Greenland and the Danish West Indies, the lands the US had been eyeing since the 19th century. Denmark would then trade Mindanao to Germany in exchange for northern Schleswig. Golden Arenola. For those who didn't know, Arenola is a chamber pot, usually used as a urinals. Then President Elpidio I. Quirino, who died in 1956 at 66, was accused by his political enemies of having a golden areola, which doesn't make sense at all. It was also said that the areola is the reason why his political career drastically went downwards. Tambalast, a mythical creature with a large mouth and private part, found in Visayan, Bicolano, and Mindanao folklore. The creature is believed to confuse and misguide people, making them lose their way or go around in circles. For instance, if you are lost in the woods, it is a good idea to wear your shirt upside down so that you won't get lost. Ferdinand Marcos is still alive. It was rumored that Ferdinand Marcos was still alive. There was this legend that persists in the Ilocos Norte that Marcos is kept alive by embryonic fluid in some secret facility. But from what we knew, he died on his deathbed in Hawaii. Jose Rizal is the father of Hitler. How this conspiracy built up? Well, the story goes when the Thai diamond pinned Rizal lost during his stay in Austria. It has been the source of many legends. One story has it that Hitler is the father of Jose. The maid in Vienna who returned the pin was related to Hitler's mother. Clara Polswell coincidentally worked at a hotel in Vienna too where Rizal stayed. What makes it interesting about this theory is that at the time Hitler was born, Dr. Rizal was in Europe, and although not proved, circles in Philippines say that Dr. Rizal did meet the mother of Hitler. Rizal survived. Some claim that Rizal's death in 1896 was staged by Jesuit priests, and that he assumed a new identity. Using the name Jose Antonio Diaz, he then supposedly became a priest, and went on to live for 113 years. Amil Brothers. In February 2014, a gruesome incident happened in the Maguindanao that shocked locals in the area after investigators discovered a mutilated body of a middle-aged woman without her internal organs. 3 brothers butchered their mother before eating her organs in a ritual killing. All brothers denied the allegations. Nostradamus prophecy to BBM. Nostradamus predicted that former Senator Bongbong Marcos would rule the Philippines in 2022, but it was later revealed that Nostradamus never mentioned in his book the name Bongbong Marcos nor the term Pearl of the Orient Seas, referring to the Philippines. It was all an internet hoax to spread false information. Real BBM is dead. Another urban legend claimed that Bongbong Marcos was already dead, and the person we saw sitting in the Senate is just a clone of him. The legend spread in late 1970s and in mid-1980s. The main adaptation of the legend has it that Bongbong Marcos had a combat with a fist with an Indian national colleague. In the said battle, he was inadvertently stabbed by his schoolmate to death. Oddly, there was no news about his body being returned in the Philippines. Many speculates that the family's political rival Probable made up the story to destroy the Marcoses, but nobody knows who spread the legend or where this story originated from. But one thing is for sure, it's one of many urban legends that is far from the reality. Based on the way he talks and his physical characteristics, it's enough to say that Bongbong is genuine. The way he communicates, the way he moves, and the natural resemblance of his face from his mother are evident. Mying03. A TikTok video has gone viral under the username of Mying03. The girl was reportedly seen dancing to the popular song by Doja Cat and Starboy titled, "I Am Going In Tonight." However, her dancing is seen on the screen for a short time as it soon switches to a horrific scene. Because of the different content, the clip soon circulated on several platforms. My personal theory is that it wasn't the same person and it's posted to gain clout. Child V increases. The Philippines is outpacing the global trend of increasing volume of online cyber trafficking and online sexual abuse and exploitation of children. I don't want to further elaborate information on this event because of YouTube's guidelines. You'll get the main point by just reading the context. Goldfishswallowing.com. The history began with one live goldfish swallowed by a Harvard freshman on a dare. The website displays a variety of people swallowing goldfish and other sea creatures. That is pretty much the entire iceberg. I only pick a few things because the video would be too long if I talked about everything. And please bear with me if I leave some topics unexplored or some of the information I shared was not fully in depth. I literally edited this video on a phone, don't worry. In months my content will look amazing if I get the resources I needed. If you love the video, consider subscribing to the channel and leaving a comment so I can keep giving you these kinds of videos. Till next time.